The world around us is in constant flux. Nothing remains the same, not even for a single moment. This is the fundamental truth of impermanence, known as in Buddhism. Rivers flow relentlessly to the sea. Flowers bloom in vibrant color only to wither and fade. Even our thoughts and emotions, seemingly so solid, arise and dissolve like waves on the ocean. Recognizing impermanence is not meant to induce pessimism or despair. Instead, it offers a profound opportunity for liberation. Clinging to fleeting experiences brings us suffering. We chase after pleasure, only to find it slipping through our fingers. We resist pain, only to discover its inevitable return. By accepting impermanence, we begin to loosen our grip on desire and aversion. We can find peace in the midst of change. This understanding allows us to appreciate the preciousness of each moment, knowing it will not last. Like dewdrops glistening on a leaf, each experience is unique and fleeting. Closely intertwined with impermanence is the concept of, often translated as, non-self. We tend to perceive ourselves as separate, independent entities. We believe in a permanent and unchanging I that exists within this physical body. However, Buddhist teachings challenge this notion. They invite us to look deeply into our own experience. Our bodies are constantly changing from infancy to old age. Our thoughts, emotions, and perceptions are all in flux. Where then is this fixed and unchanging self? The Buddha taught that what we perceive as self is merely a collection of ever-changing aggregates. These include our physical form, sensations, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. Just as a chariot is not a separate entity but an assembly of parts, so too is the self a composite construct. By recognizing the illusory nature of the self, we break free from the chains of ego clinging. This realization opens the door to the true liberation. It allows us to cultivate compassion and understanding towards all beings, for we are all interconnected and subject to the same universal laws. Imagine for a moment that life is like a video game. We become so engrossed in the virtual world that we forget it is not real. We identify with our avatars, striving for victory and accumulating virtual possessions. We experience joy and despair based on our performance within the game. Similarly, we often become lost in the illusion of the separate self. We chase after sensory pleasures and material wealth. We get caught up in the dramas of life, forgetting that it is all impermanent and ultimately unreal. Just as a skilled gamer can master a game by understanding its rules and mechanics, so too can we awaken from the dream of illusion. By recognizing the impermanent and selfless nature of reality, we begin to see through the game. We can then choose to play it skillfully without attachment or aversion. The Buddha often used the metaphor of a burning house to illustrate the pervasiveness of suffering in the world. Imagine being trapped inside a burning building. The flames are raging and smoke fills the air. You are overcome with fear and desperation to escape. This burning house represents the cycle of birth and death. Fueled by ignorance and clinging, we are constantly reborn into a world filled with suffering. We experience sickness, old age, loss, and ultimately death. Driven by desire and aversion, we grasp at fleeting pleasures, only to find more suffering in their wake. The Buddha's teachings offer a way out of this burning house. By understanding the nature of impermanence and non-self, we can find the exit. We can free ourselves from the cycle of suffering and reach a place of true peace and liberation. Section 5. Beyond tranquility, true liberation from the game. In modern times, Buddhism has gained popularity as a path to stress reduction and mindfulness. While these benefits are valuable, they should not be mistaken for the ultimate goal of Buddhist practice. True liberation goes far beyond achieving a sense of calm and well-being. Imagine a prisoner who finds solace in meditation while still confined to their cell. They may experience moments of peace and tranquility, but they remain trapped nonetheless. Similarly, simply cultivating a peaceful mind is not enough. We must strive to break free from the prison of delusion altogether. True liberation, or Nirvana, requires a profound shift in our understanding of reality. It involves uprooting the very causes of suffering: ignorance, attachment, and aversion. This requires dedicated practice, ethical conduct, and the cultivation of wisdom and compassion. Section 6. The Allure of Comfort, Modern Misinterpretations. The modern world often emphasizes comfort, convenience, and the pursuit of happiness. This emphasis on immediate gratification can seep into our understanding of spiritual practices, including Buddhism. Some may be drawn to the idea of Buddhism as a way to enhance personal well-being or achieve a sense of peace in a chaotic world. While these aspirations are understandable, they can sometimes lead to a superficial understanding of the Buddha's teachings. The path to liberation is not always easy or comfortable. It requires us to confront difficult truths about ourselves and the nature of reality. The Buddha's teachings are not meant to be mere platitudes or feel-good philosophies. They are a radical call to awaken from delusion and break free from the cycle of suffering. This requires courage, commitment, and a willingness to look deeply into our own minds and hearts. The Buddha's teachings are not meant to be passively absorbed or intellectually understood. They are a call to action, an invitation to embark on a journey of self-discovery and liberation. Just as we would not hesitate to flee a burning building, so too should we not delay in seeking freedom from suffering. The urgency of awakening arises from the recognition that life is impermanent. We do not know when death will come, and each moment that passes is an opportunity to practice, to cultivate wisdom and compassion, and to move closer to liberation. The path to awakening is available to all beings, regardless of their background or circumstances. It requires only a sincere desire to be free from suffering and the willingness to engage in the practices that lead to liberation. The path to Nirvana, the ultimate goal of Buddhist practice, is often described as the Noble Eightfold Path. This path encompasses 8 interconnected aspects: right understanding, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. By cultivating these 8 aspects in our lives, we gradually purify our minds and develop the qualities that lead to liberation. This is not a path of blind faith, but one of investigation, experimentation, and direct experience. Just as a scientist carefully observes and analyzes the natural world, so too do we cultivate mindfulness and awareness to understand the true nature of reality. Through meditation, ethical conduct, and the study of Buddhist teachings, we gradually erode the illusions that bind us to suffering. Wisdom and compassion are like 2 wings of a bird, enabling us to soar towards liberation. Wisdom, refers to the clear seeing of reality as it is, free from the distortions of our desires and fears. Compassion, arises naturally from this understanding as we recognize the interconnectedness of all beings and their shared longing for happiness. Cultivating wisdom involves developing a deep understanding of the 4 noble truths: the truth of suffering, the truth of the cause of suffering, the truth of the cessation of suffering, and the truth of the path to the cessation of suffering. Compassion motivates us to act skillfully in the world, to alleviate suffering wherever we encounter it. It is not merely a feeling of pity, but an active engagement with the world, rooted in understanding and loving kindness. The ultimate goal of Buddhist practice is to transcend the cycle of birth and death and attain Nirvana, a state of complete liberation from suffering. Nirvana is not a place or a realm, but rather a state of being characterized by perfect peace, wisdom, and compassion. Reaching the shores of enlightenment is like crossing a vast ocean. The journey may be long and challenging, but the rewards are immeasurable. Along the way we will encounter storms and obstacles, but with perseverance and the skillful means of the Dharma, we can navigate these challenges. The teachings of the Buddha serve as our compass and guide, pointing us towards the path of liberation. By embracing the truths of impermanence and non-self, cultivating wisdom and compassion, and practicing diligently, we can ultimately reach the other shore, the shores of enlightenment.